reset. And if we look at future instructions, you'll see that I'm going to show you how to do it. So it says run for 20 time units, press pause. So I'm going to kind of show you how to do all of this right now with a separate example from what you'll be doing. So I'm going to open the sim and I'm going to run it for 20 time units and then press pause. So there I am at 20. I am going to change the furbill population to 100 and lock the population. So I need to open this. I'm going to change this to 100 by pressing and holding. That's the max it can be, and then I'm going to lock it. So what this is going to do is this is going to keep the population size artificially at 100. This is not what would happen in a real ecosystem, but it's going to make it easier for us to see clear results from the test. So this is a large change that we just did. It was at like 30 to start, and we moved it all the way to 100. So this is going to help us see what effect the change has. So the large change will have a larger effect. So we're going to be able to clearly see what effect this change has. So what the point here is to see if we increase the number of furbills, what is the effect going to be on the Weebugs. So I'm going to press play now, and I'm going to let it go to another 20. So we'll let this go to 40. And if you don't stop it at exactly 20 or exactly 40, and it's like 19 or 41, it doesn't matter. Just keep going with the sim. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press on analyze. So this is where you really need to make sure you know what you're doing. So there's 3 lines that each show the size of the population and how it is changing over time. So greenleafs, furbills, weebugs, it's showing the population number, which is the y-axis, and how it's changing over the time units. The change marker up here shows where I changed my furbill. So you can see there's the icon of a furbill with a plus sign, and then it's saying that I added and then I locked it. All right. So now I'm going to gather information about bursts and deaths within certain time range. So this blue window right here shows the bursts and deaths in this window. So as I move it, you can see the numbers over here are changing. So in this window, we have a population change and energy storage molecule change. So as I move it, these numbers are going to change too. So we're going to do some comparisons. So I'm going to look at the Weebug bursts and deaths before I change the furbill. So I'm going to move it before the change. And so you can see that I've got it before the change. And before the change, the number of bursts and deaths in the Weebug population, so 21 and 18, were pretty much equal. And since the population was stable, which we can see by a sort of flat line. Now, in the sim and in real populations, bursts and deaths will never be exactly equal. So if you're thinking, well, it's not equal or it's not completely flat, it's never going to be complete. It's going to be stable, which is almost staying the same. So if I move the range to after the change, so remember the change is up top, so I want to move it to after the change, which I just did there. I can see that the burst didn't change much. So if I look at the Weebug, if before it was, if I go back to before the change, it was about 19. If I go to after, it's 25. The burst didn't change that much, but the deaths did. They increased. So the deaths went up to 37, whereas before we're talking like 21. So there's a pretty big difference there. So the deaths increased. So now bursts are less than deaths, and you can see that the population has decreased, which is what you would expect. If the bursts are less than the deaths, we have a population change that has decreased here. So we're going to go back to page 2, and you're going to be focusing on WeBugs in the sim to help answer the investigation question. So again, the investigation question is what can change the number of bursts in the population. So we're going to be focusing on WeBugs. In the previous activity, you guys found that WeBugs get energy storage molecules from green leaves. So in this activity, you're going to investigate how changing green leaves will affect the number of bursts of WeBugs. You're going to first make a prediction. So if you want to change the green leaf population, that could increase the number of bursts here. Are you going to increase green leaves or decrease green leaves? So you're going to first make a prediction, and then you're going to run the sim. There's a few things we need to do here first, though, and this is independent variable, dependent variable. So what are you changing? Well, the independent variable is the variable that you change in a test. It's what you're trying to see the effect of. So if I change something, what will that cause to happen? All right, the dependent variable is what you observe and record. So it's the result of the test. We want to make sure that what we observed is in the dependent variable was the result of a change we made in the independent variable and not something else. So we'll also pay attention to variables that we don't change, things that we keep the same or control so that they don't affect the dependent population. So in the test I just demonstrated, I changed the fur bill. So that is would have been my independent variable. Okay? It is what I changed in the test. My dependent variable was the number of WeBugs. I was changing the fur bills and then observing the WeBugs. So I wanted to see how the number of WeBugs would change as a result of changing the number of fur bills. I wanted to make sure that the change to the WeBugs wasn't caused by change to anything else like the green leaves. So the variable I controlled was green leaves. I kept them the same. So green leaves we left alone. We didn't do anything to it. So that's the control. We're not changing that, and we weren't observing that. So I'll give you a little hint here. So it says what changed to the green leaf population. So it sounds like you're changing the green leaf population. So independent variable is what you're going to change. What are we observing? We're trying to see if the number of bursts of the WeBug population. So I'm not going to say any more because I kind of want you to fill this out and think about it on your own. But I kind of just gave you the answers. All right. So once you fill this out, you're going to need to complete this sim activity. It's exactly what I just demonstrated, just focusing on different populations. So you write your numbers here. Don't let this confuse you. So at the 20 time units change, before the change, what was the number of bursts? So like I showed you here, when I moved it before, I looked at the number of bursts. You're just going to record that there. And then I moved it after. What was the number of bursts? You just record that here. Now you can't use this example because this is the wrong thing. This changed fur bills and we observe WeBugs. You are changing green leaves and observing WeBugs. So you have to run your own tests. So you write those numbers in there and then you just write your results. What happened? You pick your results and write it down. All right, and so that's going to be part one. I know it's a long video, but like I said, there's a lot going on here. So go to activity 2 of lesson 2.3 and go to page 2 and complete the sim activity. And then when you're done, you need to come back and watch page 2. Also make sure you press hand in, or not page 2, part 2. I'm going to have a separate video because this one's so long, and press hand in.